were a part of an unprecedented move around the world. I have to say it was a perfect day. I made up my mind to go about 2 or 3 weeks after the election. All of the polarization, all of the nastiness, I just had this sense of walking in a group, arm in arm with a bunch of women, and it felt to me like I could go more as a light carrier than as a dump trumper. I'm not interested in that. I'm too old for that. I just want to go and stand up and be one of a very strong force to be reckoned with. So I put it out to my daughter Sarah and to her 4 daughters, and every one of them, I sent out a text, and within minutes, I'm in, just like dominoes. So I had my little body of grandmother, daughter, and 4 granddaughters, and then 2 more granddaughters. I want to come. I want to be in this. And my husband is extremely supportive of this. Every one of my kids, they think it's very cool that we're doing this. Logistically, it will be a bit of a scramble. We will arrive at the parking lot of Ridgefield High School, where 4 buses will be standing there at 2:40 a.m. Saturday morning. 200 women will be boarding those buses, and these women want to stand up and be counted and not be dismissed as in the misogynistic way that women have been traditionally dismissed by the likes of Donald Trump and his minions. Well, my whole reason for being there is hope. That was amazing that we participated in making history such as it was made that day. I think it was around 8:30, maybe even 9 o'clock we arrived, and parked in this parking lot, but it was about 1.5 miles walk to the rally. I think the rally was set to start around 10:30. We never even got close to the rally. It was a mob scene, but it was a benevolent mob scene. There wasn't one incident of crabbiness. Everybody was friends. So we talked, and if somebody wanted to get by, you excuse me. Oh, absolutely, come on by, honey. And there was just nothing but pleasantness. Even in the middle of a street that was so mobbed, cheek to jowl, you couldn't move forward, you couldn't move back. There was hardly a square inch between you and the person next to you. And so there we were, our little body of 7 intrepids. And what we all did that was kind of cute, and I think it was just delightful, we were all counting heads. I raised 6 children, and I spent my young adulthood counting heads. Boop, 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 boop. 6 little beans. Are they all here? Yes. Counting them. I spent over and over again, I counted heads. Well, I was counting heads that day too, but I wasn't the only one responsible. In fact, as a grandmother, as the matriarch, as the elder in the crowd, everybody seemed to be looking out for me to make sure Grammy didn't trip, that I didn't get lost in the crowd. It was heavenly, that kind of concern, that loving concern, not just for me, but each one of us for each other. So we were a party to that. One small group, microcosm, in a macrocosm that was the same feeling, of the same feeling. But the street theater, I keep thinking of that term street theater because there was a wave of strong intention. There was cheering that went on. There was the hilarity of the sea of pink hats, the hilarity of some of the signs. Example, now you've gone and done it, gotten grandma pissed. And I'm a grandma, that was not my sign, but boy, did I relate to that. It was fabulous. and many, many signs. Most of them were benevolent, peace, love, and maybe corny, but deep, heartfelt feelings. You can't reduce that, objectify it by calling it corny. It was rich, and it was deep, and it was heartfelt, and it was in evidence everywhere you looked. I have made a banner years ago, and it was a little art design I made, and it was an illustration for Emily Dickinson, the first verse of Emily Dickinson's poem, Hope. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in your soul and sings the tune without words and never stops at all. First I had put it as a flag on a stick, but then we were told no sticks allowed. In fact, we weren't even allowed to bring a large purse. Sarah pinned it to my front, so people would stop. Oh, let me see what you have there. And they'd look, and then they'd break into a smile, and half of them would say, can I take your picture? And so we were all recording this, and so I have my picture and my little hope penny on probably all over the country. You'd move a few feet forward, and then at one point somebody came along and said, you've got to move back. A couple of times ambulances had to come through. And then is when you saw the real kindness of the crowd. We got to move in, and somebody would come through. We've got to clear a path. We've got an ambulance coming. Boom! Everybody just parted like the Red Sea, and over to the side we went. And then it would just fill back in like water seeking its own level. It was fascinating, but no sense of threat. So we made our way. It took some time. I can't even tell you how much time, but it took some time. We made our way through, and then it was still crowded, but there was air. And then it got less crowded, and then we were actually on the fringe where you're talking and laughing and just interacting with all these strangers who weren't strangers. And it was cold. It wasn't as warm as the weather had predicted. It never got out of the 40s, and it was cloudy and a damp kind of cloudy winter coolness that kind of got into your bones. And then we made our way back into the fray, where we caught up with one of the marches. And somebody else, a number of people have told me that there were a lot of marches because there were so many thousands of people there that it couldn't be just one march. There wasn't room on the street for just one march. It would have been stuck just the way we were around the rally time. So we got onto an avenue, and I have no track of any of the names of the streets. At any rate, we were moving, and we were walking, and we were walking at a proper stride. It was like a march, and waves of chanting would come up. So Pauline was heaven to be with, and at one point she'd shout out, "Tell me what democracy looks like," and the crowd, we'd all roar, "This is what democracy looks like," and it was a syncopated rhythm. It was so fun. And then there were some nastier ones. There were some, what were there? Oh, hands too small
to build that wall! Hands too small to build that wall! Hands too small to build that wall!
There was a wall, and this is an anti-Trump wall, a wall of resistance to his misogyny. And I look at the sea of pink pussy hats, and those are in-your-face hats. This is what democracy looks like. This is what woman looks like. And men who are supporting women who are as anti-misogynist as we are, wearing the pink hats. And I know some people who were furious about those hats and thought they were disgusting, and I didn't wear one. But I actually, now, as I look back on it, I could have, because it was a very strong message. Just watch it. Just watch it, kiddo. Because here we are, and we are a force to be contended with our pink knit hats that they were knitting all over the country, all over the world. Unbelievable that I said yes and became a part of that. I will never forget it as long as I live, and I'm emotional about it because I feel so strongly about it. Again, maybe it sounds corny, and probably does. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. That's old. That's archetypal. And truth has for centuries stood up to power. Not always successfully, but on some level it has to be successful. Certainly in the minds of the people. I'm sure that the people who survived Tiananmen Square can look back on that, still perhaps with horror, but with pride. And we in America have only to hope and pray that it will not come to any Tiananmen Square. But the voices were there, not just in America, but all over the world. And it was stunning.
Hey, hey, ho, ho, Donald Trump has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, Donald Trump has got to go. Hey, hey.
I don't think there's a single woman or man who wasn't very, very pleased and proud that, he or she had been there. I certainly was. Life is still life, and we're still, no matter how energized or excited you get about being in an adventure, life goes on. The Buddhists say, chop wood, carry water. We marched and we marched and we marched, and then we began to feel tired, and it was getting closer. It was like 4 o'clock, and we had to make it all the way back to the bus that was leaving in an hour. We walked and we walked and we walked, and we made it to the bus, to this huge parking lot, which at this point, we had gotten there at 8 in the morning or thereabouts. At this point, it was such a sea of buses that it took us a very long time to find our bus. On the way back, it was like, holy mackerel, that was amazing. That was amazing that we participated in making history such as it was made that day. That it was discounted, but we know what the truth is, and the truth is we were a part of an unprecedented move around the world. And that feels good. What now? Oh, wonderful, what now? What now is I have gotten to share my experience, not at this kind of great length that I just have, but you share, let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. And peace isn't necessarily placidness or, blah, blah, blah. It's not that. Peace is like, again, speaking your truth to power. Every one of us who went to that march together in my little family group, we're other-centered. We really are. So Gabrielle started putting together a list of agencies where we might be able to contribute, our 2 cents. And we're all committed to contributing once a month, something, whatever we can afford. Not sure, again, it's a blank slate. We're stepping into a new adventure. We're stepping deeper into the adventure of standing up, truth to power.
So much